let's take roll. Sonia's absent. Lelia?
Here.
Hillary present. Rich absent. Carol present.
All right. That's present.
Do we have any members of the public that would like to address us on something that's other than what's listed on the agenda? I don't see Mr. Holmes here.
No, I think
Am I on the agenda?
you are. Yeah. So you don't, unless if you would like to.
I'll wait till my items up.
Okay.
Okay, well, this meeting's gonna go very smoothly so far. Planning staff's oral report.
I don't have too much to report. Jerry Holon just got done doing a couple of historic resource evaluations for the city. The first one was 56 Diane and Heather Gardens. And the second one was 1101 Magnolia, which is the old Swiss garage building. And those were both, she found not to be historic.
Oh, so the Swiss automobile building
Yes.
might have been historic, but
Both of the buildings were over 50 years old, so they met the threshold to be
Oh, I see.
screened. And so we had her do them because I think 56 Diane has new ownership and Swiss Garage, they wanted to make some changes to the front of the building.
Okay.
so 56 Diane is in
Heather
Heather
Gardens.
Gardens.
Yes.
And at one point, we had discussed making that a historic district because they're old, start out old homes. But then we felt that so many, I think we remember this discussion?
I do,
Oh,
I
okay.
do.
Decided so many people had already remodeled their homes and changed them, that it would punish the people that hadn't done it. In a sense, they couldn't do anything or do the same as other people. So it's not in the historic district, even though they're old homes with good stories.
Yeah, they are. I think I had said at the last meeting or the meeting before, I looked through all of them and the ages, and a number of them are, built enough years ago that they are potentially historic. But several of them now have been altered and either completely demolished and rebuilt or have, big giant second stories on them that I doubt would come back as having the same integrity as they used to
No.
have.
Yeah, no.
There's a couple, I mean, I used to live on Heather, so there's a couple I can think of that are pretty much untouched.
Yeah, it's a surprising amount.
Yeah, but like Lilia said, I mean, that would just be sort of restricting anything that the owners could do or potential buyers if it was designated historic. That's not to say that the board couldn't grant them, if they came to us and said that they wanted, if it was on our inventory. I mean, we could, of course, allow them to do whatever they wanted. I mean, that's our discretion ultimately, but I think it might be considered overreach if we say to these particular homes that are unchanged in Heather Gardens that they are all of a sudden now historic.
Well, 50 years is the criteria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Meadowwood is over 50 years now.
Right.
So they hardly seem historic.
Exactly.
50 years old. The story of Heather Gardens is the houses were built for the ship workers, shipyard builders during World War II.
We talked about that at the
Yeah.
last meeting.
Yeah, so
Quite the
but
history.
the story is there regardless of
Yeah,
what the buildings are doing.
yeah, that's a really good point. And maybe at some point in the future, we put up a plaque in the neighborhood that shows photos of some of the older houses. And that might be enough of a representation
It's an
without
interesting idea.
having one house sort of picked on.
Yeah,
And that's all I have for a report out. Yeah, just those two.
Anyone have any questions? No? Okay.
I do. Can I ask it? Is there an application in on that 56?
No, they were waiting. They wanted to get the evaluation done first. I know the owners have I'm assuming a team of they've contracted with an architectural firm. I don't know what the status of an application is. But I imagine sometime in the next 4 or 5 months it will move forward.
Okay,
Around the curve.
curious.
yeah.
Great. right, so let's commence with public hearings. Item A, 47 Madrone.
Right at the
Yeah,
top.
very quick. So I'll just give a really quick verbal report out. I'm sure we're all familiar with the project. One of the conditions of approval was that if any changes were proposed to the front door, that it be sent back to this board for review. So the architect is here with a proposed change to the front door and an addition of a door on the eastern elevation. And the materials are there for you. One of the plans, both sheets are the same. It's just one of them is blown up, so it's a little easier to see, and the other one is clouded, so you can tell which door we're talking about. And that was reviewed by the Garavaglia team, and there was a memo, I think I included it there. And they found that because the front door was not original, they had the existing front door was not original, they had no problems with this replacement. And they found that the eastern door, the proposed eastern door was differentiated enough but compatible with the existing home, and they would sign off on its addition. And that's all I have, and the architect is here for more information.
So I'm happy to answer questions or listen to comments, but I think I just wanted to point out that our reason for doing this primarily was that the door that was there was just not very attractive, and it didn't really go with the house. And when the historical architect confirmed that it wasn't original, we felt like this would be a good time to put something in that felt more original. And so the door that we've designed sort of reflects some of the original windows that we're replicating and custom making to match original. So we just felt like it, and we're going to make this custom as well. So they'll all be sort of the same ilk. The replication doors and windows, and now this new door.
And are you saying the top panels are glass?
Yeah, that's a divided light. And then wood panel below. And then one thing you can't really see there, well, maybe, but the doors that are adjacent to the main entry door.
Yeah, yeah. I should know it's very hard to tell what's happening with that house now. Because it's been up and down and-
Here.
So this door is actually a little more in character with these doors, which are original doors that we're remaking, replicating. So that was sort of the main idea behind this one. And
You
then
mean in terms of do you say munion? Or what do you call these?
well, muttons,
So many different names for these.
mullions is probably the more common one.
Mullions or muttons?
Muttons is a different, they have slightly different meanings, but
Okay.
yeah,
So in other words, these
those will be
are
very
like
similar
to-
to those.
So these are wind glass all the way down.
No,
Just
they have a
windows.
panel as well.
Oh, I
It's
see.
glass down, no, these are doors, but there is a panel
A
on these.
wood
We
panel,
don't,
like this.
yeah,
I see, okay.
and unfortunately, this was obscured, but
And those are original?
mhm,
Oh,
Okay.
well, this is an improvement.
yeah,
And I read something that the north door, so the size of the door is going to be, the opening would be the same. as what it was.
suggested it might be bigger, but the historical architects felt like it should stay the same.
Well, it's a phenomenal job.
Can't wait till they actually, so if you've seen it lately, you know, it's still up in the air
Mhm.
and waiting, and so we're hoping next week they're gonna drop it down.
Oh, really?
Then it's gonna start moving a little quicker.
What have they been waiting for?
Just getting everything in place that needs to be done. Yeah,
Can we do?
all new foundations. Yeah, correct.
There you go. You mind, is it my place to ask, cost that for things like this? I mean, I'm just curious. that kind of lift and the amount of work that the house is taking.
I mean, it's a little hard to separate out the renovation part from all the other work, you know, because there's a whole, you know, rear yard and pool and garage, that's all new. But overall, the entire project is gonna be over 5 million.
But it's gonna be such a beautiful house.
Yes.
When
Such
it's
a beautiful setting too.
Yeah, it's
The whole interior, which we're not involved with,
right, right.
ever.
everything's new.
That too. I mean, it's,
Yeah,
I just wanted to add something that, one of our former board members lives down there, Dick Cunningham walks, and he was talking to some of the workers not long ago, and they're so proud of what they're doing.
and they
Yeah,
are. It's-
they actually take pride in doing it.
Yes. They're really wanting to do the best job that they can, and so they're taking great care with the, you know, knowing its age.
Yeah, and it'll be like one of the crown jewels in the inventory. I
Mhm.
mean, it's because it's preserved.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a good lesson. It can be done.
Yes.
Not cheaply, but.
So, do we need to review anything else before we take a vote to approve the
Well,
You can have
redesign?
a little discussion if you'd like. I think you should ask for public comment because it is a public hearing.
Public
Uh,
comment?
But it's, yeah. Nobody
No
here,
one's-
so.
And so we're reviewing both doors, the north
Yes.
and the east, okay. So I didn't see the image for the east. Oh, it's basically this one, okay, so you're just reviewing the east. So this little thing down here is not door.
That's a new door.
It's a new door. So
And that, you know, it's funny because that was submitted as a new door originally and Jerry Holland approved it. So it was always a new door.
Well, I think partly we're more concerned in general with the front of the building,
Exactly.
the public appearance.
Yeah.
And this would be hard to see.
Yeah, you're not gonna see it.
I mean, from a historic point of view.
So, yeah. How do we phrase this?
Well,
It should be a-
Review the doors and approve.
let's see, it's a request. Well, I could make a motion
Okay.
to approve the request for replacing the front entry door with custom milled wood door with a paint grade finish using a divided light over recessed wood panel
As shown in the plans.
as shown in the plans.
But we need to address the side door too.
I would throw that in there too, yes.
Yeah.
And,
And the eastern door.
and the eastern door.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Approved.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
you really are doing an amazing job.
We're pretty happy with it. Wish the weather was a little more cooperative,
That's true.
but we're gonna get through that.
Have they started work on the pool or are they waiting until the
The
house?
pool is in,
Pool's in.
the shell.
Okay.
So that's as far as they're gonna go for a while with that. But now the back of the house, which is all the new portion, we're hoping to start framing that next week or two.
My
So it's
goodness.
gonna change a lot.
Yeah, that's exciting. Well, we'll be all strolling by.
Good.
Thank you for coming by.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Have a good evening.
Great, so business items. First, at the top of the list, is flag.
Yes, well, we're finally getting going and I brought some more. Newest. Well, what happened was this afternoon, the fellow from KBO sent me a revised firm bid. And it's nothing different than we had before, except our bid had two versions and we chose, here, let me give it to you, stuff.
This is the email that you just sent about.
Yeah,
And that-
did you get here? So, it's been years, it's been in there. So it's welcome news that it's
Yeah,
still
but they
honored. The thing that surprised me was sales tax. Item C, on the first page. I guess that's what happened.
Yeah. At 9%. Wait a minute, is that right?
Well,
20, so the,
because we're purchasing, we pay the tax in this, our city tax, not,
more than 9%.
not the city tax in where his office is.
Yeah.
Where it's ending up.
Yeah,
You're getting out your.
So are you,
I can pull up a calculator if you'd like and just,
I mean, that just,
But is 9.25% the Larkspur tax?
I just looked it up, yes.
Yeah,
it
but
is.
I was gonna Google.
So we're being taxed on 7, 4, 6, 2. Plus 4, 9,
plus the estimate for handling shipping.
the 585.
Well, I don't know if you, are
So
you,
it's
I
19.
don't think so.
maybe you're not taxed
I
on
don't think
that.
you get taxed on that. I think it's just the materials.
And maybe not the graphic design either. Probably not.
Services.
So it's 19,000, so 10%.
You get 19,000.
I added A, B, D,
D, wouldn't, that's services, that shouldn't be.
Apparently that doesn't count.
D is
It should
services.
just be A, D.
So it should just be, okay.
Those first, that's probably why he put it as
And
number
that
C.
is correct, the amount. I just ran it as well.
Okay. Well, I just didn't know that
1,000, so
Larkspur gets sales
it's
tax
just
money
me.
on something like this.
6,295. So those are the only two, A and B are the
Correct.
only two items that are taxable.
Correct.
Equals, okay, so.
And the
13.
one are the panels and the other is the exhibition base.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's up quick.
Sticker shock.
10%.
And then this is, we presume the city is not gonna charge for installing,
Right.
it'll be through public works.
Right.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Yeah,
Yep, that's what Julian said.
yeah, so. So,
Thank you.
well, they've been very nice to hold on to this. And luckily I keep getting Chris, the same guy,
He still works there.
he's there and he says, oh yeah. So
Oh, good.
someday we'll have to go up and meet.
Where are they based?
Santa Rosa. I did look into, I don't know if you've noticed the city park signs, like the Piper Park.
Yeah.
And the Corte Madera, they're really pretty signs, nice
Mhm.
looking. I called them, they don't do historic marker kind of signs, they do nature signs. And those are all,
Really? What's the difference?
yeah, I
There's
mean,
different text and photos.
yeah, I don't know, but that's what they said, that that's their specialties.
Okay.
Like they have it by Neil Cummins School. They
Yeah,
do them there
yeah,
too, so-
yeah. They call his parks and Rec. Yeah, that'd be nice to
It
know.
might be, well, the ones at the school, I thought maybe were the parents' groups,
Maybe.
but I wasn't sure. I don't know. I just wondered if they could get bids for them.
Yeah. But they won't.
It's not their topic.
I guess we're not good, we're not doing the Miwoks in this first batch,
It
right?
just didn't get,
No, we haven't, and it's so strange because I've called them, I've emailed them, all my contacts there. I mean, I guess I'll give it maybe a couple weeks and then see if I could, if maybe there's somebody else there. I mean, I could take it to the head of the tribe. I mean, it seems silly that they would be so, like a little, that's my sense, because I've been communicating with them for about a year. And I did a draft of the text and said what comments, edits, I got this off of public information that it wasn't the tribe that had posted it, but it was the Post Miwok Historic Association. I think I have to look at my notes. And they're like, well, you can't believe everything you read on the internet. And I was feeling like it's pretty generic what I wrote and very positive. And I mean, I'm not sure what more they want to say or what they don't want to say. But anyway,
Well, they could correct it if they felt like that was not accurate.
right, this is a good
That's why
opportunity.
you're asking.
Yeah,
For that.
yeah.
exactly.
Speaking of corrections, I think at our last board meeting, we
Right.
wanted to have Sky take a look at the text.
Oh, just to see if there is some legal
typo. Typos, or was it?
I think legal, right?
I don't, I can. see if I see.
Maybe you could ask if they think it's something. So there were some suggestions from Dick Cunningham. I asked him months ago, go over this. And I bugged him today and he sent it out just at 5. So here's this information. He just has a couple changes. That would go with the other. So you sent them out to us,
The proposed plaques, yes, the
Yes.
images should be there.
So he just looked at 2 of the,
he looked at them all.
but those are the only 2 he had comments on.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yes, yeah, because he's our resident historian, more or less. and he said,
He's
please
such a
look at
great
it. I don't want us to make a mistake that we have to redo.
Oh, that's great.
So he did.
Like, how the common code, though, why would you be concerned about?
Well, I think he thought it was a little lacy.
Those,
Well, but this is our decision.
I think it shows the times and how people behaved. I mean, we had these impressions, we are, as far as I'm concerned, we're always so admonishing young teenagers today. Well, it was no different in the 30s.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it's really up to us.
What did he say to resolve our concerns? Were there
Well,
concerns?
That he had a concern about that, and I said to him, yes.
Is that what he said?
Format is to have a quote first. So that's
I
it.
think it sounds much more interesting, particularly if you're
And that's why
young
they're
adults
it in.
going by versus the train was efficient. It was a 15-minute ride, superior judge. I just think it's a very different take on the communication.
Yeah,
I actually prefer the first one.
All right, well, that's
So
what
what do you think?
I agree with you, Carol. And in addition, we already have a quote from Judge Gardner on the electric booster station.
right.
So I think it's good to have another perspective.
Okay, student.
Yeah, who, students.
Yeah.
From the 1930s, I think it's fascinating. That,
Yeah.
If we're not even-
where did you find that?
a quote from him. Helen Highkent and I went and interviewed a lot of people,
Oh,
and it's on tapes. And Marilyn's transcribed a lot,
what did you do?
years and years,
Uh-huh.
really a long time.
Yeah.
There
Fabulous.
were some funny stories. I'll just tell you one. We went to the Silver Peso, and there were 2 women that owned it. And they came in their polyester pantsuits to meet us, and we met in the bar. And we said, well, it's gonna be part of the historic district and we won't do anything to the inside, we're just worried about the outside. And they said, honestly, one of them said, as long as they can still spit in the floor in here, I don't care. What's that? So she didn't want it to be fancified.
Well,
But so
she got her
they
wish.
approved, you know, yeah, everybody had to approve to be part of the
Oh, the National
The-
Register.
application.
Wow.
And that's where we.
I wonder if that would happen today, if people would agree to that.
So to add just a little, this is that, maybe, but my hiking group, we were hiking by and I told the story. So one of the fellows, he went into the bar and he said, told the story. He said, do you still allow that? No, we don't.
Who's the new owner?
Yeah, yeah, well,
Yeah, I'm
way back.
glad you stood up for that
Okay, all
paragraph,
right.
Carol.
So,
I understand Dick's, you know,
I do too, but I
concern, but
need to have some levity, so. But it really reflects the times. I mean,
Mhm.
when you read about the Rose Bowl dances and what was happening in Larkspur, I mean, certainly not like that now. I mean, right? Yeah, I mean, so it's fascinating.
all right, so we'll keep them.
so he wants to add some. Yeah, I agree with what he's adding to.
So which one are you looking at? The second one?
Yeah.
Okay,
So adding to the end of the regular railroad passenger service. So to the
Yeah.
end of this,
okay.
so that's okay. It's unaffected. And then the Rose Bowl,
A lot of copy. I'm wondering how that's gonna work in your one paragraph. We add another line.
I'll ask Marilyn, because she's might be making the picture smaller.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
And we are paying for a design
I was just
service
gonna say, so.
at the KVO, so
Okay.
they can
Yeah.
fiddle around, see about font.
So Rose Bowl. So we'll have a chance to review their, once they have it.
Right, we'll see what's,
Yeah.
before they're made, we'll do.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 years later, we'll get our placards.
Well, and these are just the first 5,
I know, right?
so we hope to do.
So he said,
The last sentence. Saying
Wait
to
a
get
minute.
rid of that
the
comma.
dash.
Yeah, I was.
He's saying to get rid of the comma, so the last line where it says roads, comma, on the ferry by train. He doesn't have a comma in there.
And he took out the dash between 2 and lane. Yeah, so. I think it should.
Which one are you?
It's Rose Bowl. So it's this last sentence.
Okay, yeah, I didn't have a chance to. Okay. So we take out the comma. Overtime the floor was
On the ferries and train. There's only one ferry.
Should, I guess maybe he likes ferries. But if you made a whole new,
Because we've got increased, we've already made it. The overtime floor was increased in size and worded Saturday night dances spread, dancers
With-
arriving.
I'd say you'd add with dancers arriving from the Bay Area. Because it implies that because of all these dancers, that necessitated the increase of the size. So increase in size.
Dancers arrive. Very.
Do you
Or you
want a
could
whole
say-
new sentence?
Dancers would arrive. Or with dancers arriving. I think we might need a new sentence.
Yeah, so. And the floor was increased in size and word of the Saturday night dances. Okay.
Yeah.
And then,
Dancers arrive from all over the area, 2 main roads.
should we put in the past tense arrived? Or how,
Is it,
had been built? We are pretty much in the
In the past,
past tense,
the
so,
whole other part of the paragraph.
yeah, so we could say dancers arrived from all over the Bay Area.
And shouldn't it just be on 2 lane roads?
Yeah.
ferry,
Right,
or by train?
on,
I think leaving the in there, because that implies the local, like, they didn't take 2 lane roads from all over where they were. I think having the implies that they were from, the roads were located in Larkspur.
and just on the ferry and by train.
Yeah, I think it's on the 2 lane roads, the ferry, or by train. I don't know if it's on the ferry.
Yeah.
Yeah, take out that, yeah.
That's what
The
they say
ferry.
first.
Or,
2 lane roads, the ferry, comma. I forget what that, there's a name for that comma when you have a series of things.
oh,
It's like
okay,
eats, leaves, shoots. The Oxford comma.
That's what sticks in my head.
all right,
I would say as word of the Saturday night dances spread,
so,
instead of and word.
Yeah, I agree.
I think as, because word spread and the dance floor had to increase.
okay, so over time, the floor was increased in size as word of the Saturday night dances spread.
Dancers arrived from all over the Bay Area.
On the 2 lane roads.
I would say I would add the word traveling. Traveling on the 2 lane roads, the ferry or by train.
Okay, dancers arrived all over the Bay Area. Then you do a comma, traveling,
Yep.
and isn't traveling, is it 2 L's or one? Something,
I think it's
one.
it's one of those weird words.
All right.
Google says 1L.
Oh, one, okay.
Traveling from all over the Bay Area. Or you
Oh,
want, where do you want
No,
the traveling? to
Dancers
come?
arrive from all over the Bay Area traveling on the 2 lane roads, the ferry, by train, right?
Wish we could say some of the names of the orchestras or some of the bands that play at the Rose Bowl. It'd be really nice to be able to say Glenn Miller or
Well, I imagine, well, you know who knows that, Doug Archer, retired, he's retired Doug Archer, worked for the city and the fire department, did building stuff. He must be retired.
I have not heard the
Yeah,
name,
no,
so.
He keeps the,
Nice.
yeah.
all right, so traveling, well, we'll go over it one more time.
Okay.
Dancers arrive from all over the Bay Area, traveling the 2 lane roads.
Ferry or by train.
Yeah, because
On the ferry or just traveling?
No.
Just
Just
the
the
ferry.
ferry.
the ferry, singular. Because Dick had taken out the dash there, which makes it sounds like there's only 2
Train.
lane roads.
Right, so we think we need 2 lane.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
Okay, and then, all right, well, I could find out, I'll call Doug if I can find his number.
Yeah, if we know of any
Yeah, add
names, marquee
some-
bands.
Yeah,
And
because it's mentioned over here by the 1930s, well-known orchestras played the Bay Area Hotel, and performed under the stars. So it'd be fun to have that in that paragraph.
Such as
Yeah.
the,
so right up near where that says orchestras there.
Yeah,
yeah,
it'd be really fun to have a couple.
Yeah. Well, and that'd be historic, even for some younger people don't know.
I'm excited to get a plaque there because that whole thought of a dance,
Oh my
and
goodness.
it's always been intriguing.
Yeah.
So that's a good one.
All right, well, thank you.
Can I just add one more thing that's not
Yeah.
really related, but it sort of is? There was an article in the IJ this week that talked about how work is stopping on the new wetlands restoration where the old dog park was. You know, it's kind of.
Yeah.
And they said because, it was an old waste, like a dump.
Mhm.
And I was like, duh.
Yeah.
I mean, we've known it was a dump forever and now all of a sudden they're just like, oh, we're finding waste materials. Didn't they think about that before they started the project?
Well, especially since Rita Scotch was telling me they still find parts of refrigerated.
Yes.
stuff in the den.
I saw a pile, I don't know, it was like 4 months ago, I saw like a dirt pile and there was like some washing machines and stuff in it.
Yeah.
So it's good that they're restoring it. It's good that they're cleaning out the dump stuff. And why they need to do stop the work though.
Well, I had heard they ran out of money. But that's different, that's just gossip.
Okay, so moving on, sorry, we
Oh,
spent a lot of time editing this, but we want to get it right.
Yeah, all right,
So
so we'll
the minutes,
do that and then, I can.
Clarifying question here real quick. Would you like to have the edits made and have it come back for an approval, or would you, you just want to go ahead and move forward and we'll get the design from the KVA? And we'll, okay. Okay. Perfect.
maybe at that stage, we could run it by legal.
Sure.
And, but the question is paying 1/3 down.
We're using the fund that the Heritage Board has.
Yeah. So that's all right. We need to vote on that, the three of us?
Maybe just to keep the record clean
Alright.
and good, it might be worth it since it's involving finances.
So should I make a motion?
Sure.
I'll make a motion that the heritage funds from the book sales be used as the down payment, sorry,
We should
Deposit?
probably see.
the deposit for the,
To initiate
to initiate
the work draft,
the,
first phase.
on the trail markers.
I'm don't want to be difficult, but I'm wondering. Shouldn't have our revisions before we submit to them. I'm looking at this contract and at the bottom it says any revisions to your files once a project is started will incur additional charges. So once they put it on the layout and stuff, I'm wondering if we make changes, if extra charges.
Well, I'll send these changes that we've made. That'll be part of our original
Okay,
proposal.
okay.
Because he really, I mean, they haven't seen our black write-ups.
They haven't.
No, this is just theoretical if you have the plaque of this size.
Okay.
So they haven't
They haven't
seen
seen
anything.
anything.
So the first thing they'll see will be what we've approved.
No, that's good because it's in
Yeah.
bold.
If we would want to change some later on.
Yeah. I can't imagine that if you're changing, like a word
Well,
or
the
two.
first, I'm sure the first draft was a draft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought these were actually part of what they've done, but
No, this is all just from there. Actually, ridiculous. So is that enough of
Sure.
motion?
Need a second and a vote.
Okay.
I second it. All in favor?
Aye. Yay, thank you. That's exciting. We're gonna move forward after a long time.
I know, you've been so patient and tenacious.
We want them right.
Yes, and they will.
Mhm.
Okay,
So,
have you had a chance, everyone, to look at the minutes from the last meeting?
Yeah.
Detailed.
The only, well, on the August 17th meeting, under public hearings, Dennis Gilardi's name is spelled incorrectly.
I can fix
It's
that.
Denis. Here it's Denis.
Ooh, good catch. I didn't even notice that.
Otherwise,
So there are recordings of these meetings, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right
So if somebody was like, well, what exactly did Dennis Gilardi say, or Chair Colleen, they can get the actual. They can
Yeah,
listen to it.
yeah, the files will, yeah.
Any other?
well, it did
changes or
look like
comments?
on the second page of the same minute. On, from the bottom, the 1, 2, 3, 4th paragraph, it looked like it was left off. The owner and chair discussed saving the brick exterior walls visible from Magnolia Avenue, et cetera. And then the next sentence is the owner provided context on the construction processes and costs that are part of the project due to the reinforced masonry, and then an A. I don't know what that,
The A is probably just a typo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I took it.
take it off. Wondered if there was another sentence. And then on the following page, I guess under C it towards the bottom, it's the ODDS is something, is part of is that objective standards? I didn't know what ODDS.
Yeah, it's the objective design and development standards.
Okay, all right. Do you think we should say what it is, or does everybody know?
I think because it's mentioned about. Old.
Oh, I see. That's what it is. That's the abbreviation.
I'm always having to look up acronyms.
Oh,
Me too.
Right?
I'm always looking them up. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Everything has acronyms.
Everything, and it's just crazy. It's just assumed that you know what.
yeah, well, I didn't see that up there as the acronym, so I'm sorry, but now I got it. Okay. Those are my only two comments.
So let's put forward a motion to approve the meetings for August 17th. Meeting notes, do we need to look at the draft minutes for Thursday, October 26th as well?
That looked all fine to me. Well, the one thing, under planning staff's oral report, Alex Altham, senior planner, provided an oral report out. I don't, about the, I think out means it. I got it. So if you'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes from Thursday, August.
I'm thinking about Jerry's letter. And I don't know if there's anything else that we want to clarify about the discussion. I'm trying to remember. Because if we want to say anything about the decision process in more detail, I guess you'd have to go back and listen to the minutes, but
You mean on the August 17th ones?
no, the October 26th. business items,
Your consultant.
the historic consultant consultation.
What did
Because,
you want it? Yeah.
Well, I think there was, at least I'm just remembering one of the things that struck me when I was comparing between Garavalia and Halan was that Halan, you got a principal architect, and it was less cost than the principal for Garavalia. So Jerry Halan was more cost effective. And that's not really reflected in the notes so much. It just says we worked on the cost difference. So you wouldn't necessarily know what that difference was. I think it's just a matter of detail that I don't know whether or not it's important, but the other, let's see, and then the institutional knowledge. Yeah, past work and institutional knowledge. I think that as well as compare the number of projects the two consultants had worked on in the last year, I think that that could be fleshed out a little bit more, just to say that Jerry Halan has worked for 10 years doing projects, reviewing projects for Larkspur. And that adds a lot of value, which I think we discussed that during the meeting. I'd have to go back and listen to it.
Did talk about.
But it's not really reflected because it just says discuss the past work and institutional knowledge and compared the number of projects. So there's no takeaway from that sentence that I think was reflected in our discussion. So I don't know if there are points that we can sort of have whoever types up the minutes, maybe go back and listen to them. I mean, I could do it too. I could go back and listen to it and call out a paragraph, because I think there was more discussion on a couple of these areas that's not reflected on the meeting notes. So.
And in C, we did that with the August 17th meeting minutes. I'd like to have more detail in the minutes, so we can do that again.
Yeah. I think, can we approve the minutes on the condition that there's more detail to be disclosed on business item B, discussion on historic consultant selection? Thanks. So all in favor of, did you catch that, Alex?
Yeah, I'm just writing it down.
Because I think that might be something that becomes significant at some point, where if a homeowner comes and says, why are you telling me, or what's the difference between these two consultants, or why should I choose one over the other? It would be nice to have this as a historic record that they could refer to easily. Like, this is the whole discussion that we had on the consultants, comparing their experience, the value, why we have a consultant. I think this is like kind of a foundational discussion. So.
Yeah.
And it probably could have been better if we had had a complete board too, I think.
I know this is a problem.
Yeah, because I think that Rich has strong opinions on this as well.
Very much.
And I wonder if maybe this is something at the next board meeting, when we go to look at the fleshed out meeting minutes from this, that Rich hopefully could somehow participate remotely or in person, and he would have a chance to look at that, and at that point he could add his thoughts. Does that sound like a good plan?
I was gonna ask Alex, like, if someone can't make a meeting tonight, can they go listen and participate remotely, or do they have to be present when we have meetings?
You mean just in general, can somebody participate remotely in a meeting?
Yeah, for our meetings, like, just missed.
I think maybe you missed we talked about it. So the rules, COVID had a change of the rules basically to the Brown Act that allowed for remote participation without any sort of caveats. The standard practice, though, is if a board member is going to participate remotely, when the agenda goes out, they have to, basically the agenda has to include Rich is watching or participating from wherever he's participating from. And he has to be okay with the fact that anyone can knock on the door and sit in his living room and sit there and listen to the meeting with him.
Got it.
And I did mention that I think there's some discussion at the state about, at the state level about undoing that in a future bill and kind of going back to the COVID era rules. But I don't know if that will actually go through or not. And if it did, it would probably be at the start of 2025, I would imagine.
Well, so shall we just approve the first minutes?
Yeah, we can approve, the August 17th. And then we can approve the October 26th with the provision that, business item B gets more.
We expand.
Yeah, be expanded. Do we need to vote on that?
Yes, you still need a second and then a vote.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Oh, Joe Bomerski's letter. I printed a copy for myself and I forgot. Oh, here. Joan Lundstrom, sorry.
Yeah, Jones. I've known several reasons. Yes, that's why.
Okay, that was interesting. Alex, can you explain how this would relate to our role as a board to look at that?
So I think, so I guess I'll just back up and provide context. At the last meeting or the meeting before that, I think when we were talking about the odds, the last meeting, we mentioned that there are these housing sites in the housing element that would allow for projects basically to go through with perhaps less review than they might otherwise if they weren't one of those sites. So the city parking lot just down the street here is one of those sites. It is within the downtown historic district. So as I mentioned at that meeting, the project would still have to comply with any project there or in any part of the district would still have to comply with the Secretary of the Interior standards. But beyond that, there is less discretion involved in the total process. So this was sent, I think to Lelia. I'm sure I want to say to other people on various boards. That's what I've heard. And so
Maybe.
the idea is basically that you would recommend as the Historic Preservation Board that it be removed so that any projects, basically so that you would avoid a potential project there impacting the district. And so you would today be forwarding a recommendation to the Planning Commission so that when they go back and I think finally decide what the total sites will be, what would you say will be, that they will have this recommendation from your board that this is taken off the list.
The one concern I have with it being on the list is we're already a little shaky on having contributing and non-contributing buildings. And I don't know how 9 units would affect the count of number of buildings that are historic and count towards the National Register listing.
So that's part of the side where any project has to comply with the Secretary of the Interior standards downtown.
So
That would be a reason to say no to something if it was, if there was a preponderance of the evidence that said, if you build this, you will basically remove any integrity of the district.
Yeah.
So that parking lot is part of the district.
Well, it just kind of,
Great, yeah.
they would have to cut it out because there's the train station,
Mm-hmm.
and the station master's house and the warming hut.
Mm-hmm.
So they're right.
They're there, and
there's
then
some-
there's this parking lot.
Yeah.
So anything that it would potentially be built on that parking lot, whether it's part of the housing element or not, would still come to us because it would be part of the district.
Mhm.
So if it's on the housing element, it doesn't have to come to the Heritage Board?
I think Elise would probably send it just as a FYI, but the level of discretion to, like, if they produce a report and there's a city consultant who agrees that whatever the project is that is proposed has no negative impacts to the district, at that point, there's really no ability for anyone to say, no, we don't want this built. It's just,
That's the new state law.
yeah,
right?
that's all, that's a part of the housing elements that is.
Heritage too, so. If we said, no, this is a heritage parking lot. I mean, we wouldn't be able to block any kind of building on there on the basis of it being part of the district.
Not if, only if you know, had like an architectural historian, like if Jerry or Garavaglia had written a report and said, you know, no, this will be a negative impact to the district overall, or might, you know, like I said, remove the integrity, then there's a little bit more ability to say, no, we can't approve that. But if everyone's in agreement that it's, you know, thoughtfully designed and is not going to impact the district, then there's really there's no jumping in front of that train.
Okay. So theoretically, a heritage designation does not necessarily protect a building or a lot in this case from being developed.
It's the same that it would apply, I think, to any project like 47 Madrone. They have to show that, you know, what they're doing is not a negative impact. So it is a layer, having the heritage designation is a layer of protection, but there are ways to work within the requirements of the Secretary's standards so that what you're
Right.
doing is not
Okay.
going to be a negative impact.
So what Joan is asking to have it removed or to have this lot removed from the housing element, then what does that mean in terms of us? I guess I'm just kind of trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I think either way if it were to be a site or were not to be a site, you know, at the end of the day, a project that comes forward is still going to have to demonstrate that it's not a negative impact to the district. Even if it's not a housing inventory site and somebody comes in and just wants to build a small little commercial retail store or something, they're still gonna have to show that it's not an
But we don't
impact.
have the authority to say to the planning, remove that.
Well,
Which is what
if we-
she's asking.
Well, you
for.
can make as a board, you can make a
Recommendation.
recommendation, yeah, but it's not ultimately it will be, yeah, decided, but I mean, you would make a recommendation to the planning commission, who would make a recommendation to the city council, who then would ultimately adopt it.
I would be agreeing with Joan that to be on the safe side, we should ask them to consider other areas for 9 units.
But that's not really our job.
Well, we can. It affects the district and it could have an effect.
Yeah, I don't think at least when I discussed it, when we read the letter, I don't think you would be stepping out of line or anything or stepping on toes by making a recommendation, as long as everyone's on the same page that it is just a recommendation and, you know, a higher body could say.
It's hard to just maybe present one more sort of way in from another city agency.
The other problem with that, quite honestly, talking to merchants, is they need that parking. There's no parking downtown to speak of, and that helps them. And if our historic downtown can't function,
That's
then
true.
it becomes fodder for being torn down, made into something else.
Well, here's the question too. I remember at one point there was discussion of putting in a parking structure there in a hotel, I think.
Yeah,
At one point, and which it'd be hard to fold it in so it looks like it's part of the National Register, but it would certainly.
that's
increase.
adjacent to the parking, Nazari's property. You know, who owns a lot of.
Yeah,
that
but I
shopping area.
thought it was on the parking.
Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, it was a while ago,
Yeah.
and obviously it's not happening, but I just, I wonder if, I mean, I don't know how long it can stay a vacant parking lot. If there's more and more housing pressure. But we have parking pressure too. You know, there's not a lot of parking around this building. There's only street parking basically and that lot.
Mhm.
So,
It would affect the businesses a lot. I know a lot of the moviegoers.
right,
And restaurant people from West Bank, they don't, most of them,
yeah,
there just isn't another place.
I know, and it's really convenient.
Yeah.
Well,
And even the one by Perry's is usually full,
right.
just with their,
At night.
well, at night, but even in the day, with the little shops and such.
Especially at lunchtime.
Yeah. Yeah, times. So I think the parking lot's important for our district.
I think so too. I don't know that it qualifies as being historic per se, but it definitely supports
Yeah,
the businesses, you know, the commercial district.
maybe that's the word we could use why we want it preserved, because it supports the historic
Yeah,
downtown commercial
Yeah.
district.
yeah.
Mhm.
It makes it viable.
Mhm.
Do we need to make a motion?
I think if you're sending a recommendation, I would make a formal motion.
Okay, let's see if we can find some language in from, did you get a copy of this?
I
You have an
have.
extra copy, Lilia?
I think I've got, I think I put one.
Yeah.
I could be mistaken.
Sport.
I can't remember what I said.
Very good at that. All right, so we recommend to the planning. It's the planning commission.
Mhm.
Preservation of the existing public parking spaces.
I would, if I might,
Yeah,
approach it as removing it from the inventory site rather than preservation of the
Okay.
lot itself.
so remove,
So retain.
so retain it.
Oh.
Remove, so right, yeah, right now it's on a list of
So
potential
remove-
sites. So you're asking
Or-
the
Storage.
So remove
Yeah.
from the,
The housing element.
housing element sites
Got it.
inventory.
okay, that's
Say why we're recommending it.
Sure.
I mean, I thought how you put it, supporting the historic commercial district.
this site supports, shall we say parking? Because that's what we really like. Supports.
Well, I think because she talks about a structure devoted to public parking, she said the scale of our very small downtown historic district would be compromised with a structure devoted to public parking. So I almost think maybe staying away from parking for now, just
Okay.
because you could satisfy that by doing a mixed use with extra
Yeah.
parking.
Yeah, right, okay. So,
She said something about this.
well, the re-landscaping, I know that was
Yeah,
a
Yeah.
big thing.
an open area complementing the scale of the historic streetscape.
Should we
That was
name it open? Well, why don't we just use her words?
Yeah. You see that, Alex, in the second to last paragraph in the bottom?
Recommended for removal from the housing. So the, you know, what, the parking lot in downtown, is that how we refer to it?
City parking lot. Downtown historic district.
The site supports the historic This is
Commercial district.
Commercial district. And should remain an open area. That's where we
Yeah, exactly.
use her language.
Mhm.
Just kind of progressive classes. I've never had them before.
Hard time you
Having a hard
How
time.
long have you had?
One day.
It takes a few days for your eyes to adjust.
I feel like there's only such a tiny little area that's focused and I'm having to move my head a little
Oh.
more with progressive.
Well, it takes a while.
Does it? Okay.
Eyes to adjust to it.
Do you wear glasses, Lily?
I have one eye for distance and one eye for reading. For a long time I've had. I don't know what they call it, monovision.
Okay. All right.
And then I have glasses that I can wear when I drive that are for both distance.
Okay. I have those too.
So. What happened is one of these meetings, this is aside from, we were doing something and I was reading something and I thought it said beer dousing. Or it was deer browsing and I go, I need glasses, but I say at a public hearing.
Your house.
Yes, I was reading the letters incorrectly. And then I said, it's time for glasses.
That is funny. Yeah, we'll put that on the Rose Bowl plaque. All right, so getting back to this, do we have our motion
Mhm.
constructed? And we voted on it? I forgot.
No, you still need the motion. So yes, well, I don't know which way you want, what sentence where, but I have, your motion is to remove it from the site's inventory to preserve the open area complementing the scale of the historic streetscape, and also mentioning that this site supports the historic commercial district.
Perfect.
I'll make that motion. We need a person to make it.
And I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. All right.
Thank you. Alex.
Yeah, that was good. And that was helpful. It was an education.
Oh, okay.
Okay, any board member reports?
No,
Okay.
talk about the things I'm interested in too.
Okay, then I put forth a motion to adjourn.
Definitely second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So do you want some of these back?